As filmmakers, our greatest inspiration can come from our favorite films. Films just have to be watched the right way. If you're watching a film to relax and have fun or be entertained, you might not absorb all of the knowledge that you need to. But if you analyze a film in an academic setting, you can actually glean more knowledge from it. So here are 5 filmmaking lessons that I learned from one of my favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption. The first lesson that I learned is referred to as the Pope in the pool technique, and I've actually seen this in many films, and it's perfectly applied here in this scene. This rooftop scene is actually quite famous. Roger Deakins was the cinematographer for this film, and I see this shot all the time. But if you actually listen to the dialogue, it's kind of boring. They're talking about taxes and finance.
The IRS allows a one-time only gift to your spouse for up to $60,000.
They all of a sudden make tax law a life or death situation with this incredible camera move that really immerses you in the scene and almost makes you feel like you're about to fall off the roof. The key here is that the visuals and the stakes of the situation are keeping you interested in a boring subject. It's called the Pope in the pool technique because if you need to talk about something boring, put the Pope in the swimming pool, no one can look away because it's such a unique thing. The second and third lesson actually have to do with crowds, utilizing large amounts of people. Shawshank Redemption had a budget of $25 million. So this wasn't a small film, but still with that budget, you can actually stretch it and make it look like a much bigger film. And this is a long film and it's a large film, and they really make the visuals impressive. Take a look at this camera move. At first I thought, wow, what a creative decision. But then I realized this camera move was perfect for budgetary reasons. They didn't need a very large crowd with this move because it's overhead. This vertical technique was actually used in Forrest Gump when they showed through the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II. Okay, let's count the extras. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. They had 20 people here. How do you make a crowd of 20 people look massive? You shoot them from overhead. They never show a wide shot, but that move keeps you invested. And then they have that small turnaround from a high angle from the perspective of the speaker. And in this shot, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Basically all the extras they had there. I guarantee you they didn't have more than 20 people. If a director has 20 people, you're gonna see them all. Also, there's a quick shot here that implies the passage of time as Andy Dufresne is kind of going through a rough time here in prison. And what they've done is they have a snow machine going. They've snowed up some of these back walls, and they've shot him on a long telephoto lens. He's the only actor they have in the shot. They've got the snow machine blasting on his face. They put some snow on his shoulders, and that's it. You know what they could have done? They could have done a big wide shot and spent $1 million just on this one shot. They could have covered the whole yard with snow. They could have had 50 extras. They just have one guy on a telephoto lens. There could be other people around. There's not. What they're doing here is they're implying that there's other people there. He's not all alone in the yard. As you can see from this example, when you use a telephoto lens, you see less of the background. And I actually use this technique a lot when I don't like a location or I'm trying to hide something. I use a telephoto lens, something beyond 100 millimeters, to really have a narrow field of view. A lot of low-budget movies will use longer lenses to make locations look more impressive than they really are. I really love how economical that is, how practical that is, and how that shot serves the story perfectly. Number 3 also has to do with crowds, and we've got this very impressive helicopter shot that's early on in the movie. This is in the first 10 minutes. This is when we're being introduced to the prison. So I want you to look at the ground here. It rained recently. The ground is covered with these puddles, a lot of water. They've got all the men coming by. Very impressive, big budget shot with all the extras that they need, all of these prisoners. Remember, all of these guys aren't just hanging out every day ready. They're only coming out for maybe 1 or 2 days to get all of the wide shots. Way later in the movie at 107:58, we have a scene here where all of the men in the yard stop and listen to music. First, I want to appreciate this amazing crane shot that blends the sound that these men are hearing with their faces. We see their expressions, and then we see that the sound is coming out of this large speaker. And that is a big shot. There's a lot of people in that shot, and I want you to look at the ground. Puddles. This shot was probably done later that day or the next day. So when you're filming a movie, you're not filming everything in order. It's shot completely out of sequence. For budgetary reasons, they knew they could have a big crowd. When are we going to utilize them? Well, let's utilize them when the whole prison is hearing this sound. And then let's utilize them at the very beginning of the movie, where we really want to show this scale, the impressiveness of this prison, so we can get a sense of the geography of the area as well. But notice that Morgan Freeman and some of the other expensive actors aren't here. They're in a separate room when we see their face. They're in this workshop, which was probably shot a completely different day when those actors were there. The fourth lesson that I learned from Shawshank Redemption is that placing your subject by a window can make things a lot easier. In this simple scene, we see these two men sitting down in this room at this table. And with the window behind them, they're played fairly dark. And when the camera comes around, we get some beautiful natural lighting. This is cinematography 101. The shadow side of their face is closest to camera. There's soft light coming from the window. And I wouldn't be as presumptuous as to assume that this is sunlight. It's most likely an HMI coming through diffusion through the window. But a setup like this keeps lights out of the room. It keeps the setup simple, and it's very cinematic. Christopher Nolan used this technique over and over and over again when he shot his first feature film, Following, which was extremely low budget. They made it for practically nothing. I love seeing big budget movies utilize this technique with windows. We see the same thing here in this setup. Just a little context. This prisoner is talking about this guy, but he's in a totally different prison. And this is like a flashback to some gossip that's happening between prisoners. I love how this is supposed to be a conversation, but they only have one actor. It's simple. They don't need two. He's talking to somebody. We don't need to see them. This is all that matters. He's by the window. We have this cinematic lighting because it's light, dark, light, dark. His face is in shadow on this side, implying some sinister motives. And just being by this window framed in this way, it's a simple setup and you're done with it. Oh, I love this guy's laugh. Oh, fantastic. Wicked. Lesson number 5, use objects to communicate emotion and thoughts that are happening in the character's head. Many times objects can help us have insight into a character's mind. Andy Dufresne's object is a rock hammer. And as he uses it in the film, it is worn down and it implies years of use, patience, and determination, which that character exemplifies. The crooked warden in charge of Shawshank, his object is a Bible, implying this duplicity of character. It makes his character so evil when he uses the Bible as justification for his acts. The use of this Bible really gives him a motivation. He thinks he's a good guy, but really he's doing things for horrible reasons. And he's using the Bible as a shield. Red's object is this harmonica that Andy gives him, implying a forgotten youthfulness as he no longer has a desire to play music. The joy of his life is gone. This is probably my favorite shot of the movie, honestly. When the warden finds what he thinks is his Bible, but it's actually Andy's Bible, with the rock hammer outline perfectly cut out, showing this 20-year deception that's been happening. And look at the page. It's Exodus, implying Andy's exodus from prison. There's one more that I found in this movie was the decision that Red had between the gun and the compass is visualized here. We don't need to hear his thoughts. And in the next shot, we're not sure which one he chose. Visually, we haven't been told yet which one he purchased. But then we see that he bought the compass and he made the right choice. The truth is that movies like Shawshank Redemption have much more than 5 lessons included. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of nuggets of knowledge to glean from movies like Shawshank Redemption. So I'm very interested to hear filmmaking lessons in the comments. Please let me know filmmaking lessons that you learned from Shawshank Redemption so we can learn together. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to subscribe to our channel, please don't. Subscribe to another channel instead. Epic Light Media does not need any more subscribers. Thank you.